In the leather armchair nearby, billionaire Richard Hamilton sat with his eyes closed, breathing steady. To anyone watching, he looked asleep, but his mind was wide awake. Too many times greed had eaten into his home. Tonight he wanted to see for himself. Richard listened to every sound, his heart heavy with suspicion. Would this little girl, innocent-looking and poor, fall into temptation like the others? Or would she prove different? This is not just a story about wealth and power. It's a story about innocence, trust, betrayal, and the unexpected ways life teaches us what truly matters. The tall windows of the study let in streaks of the late afternoon sun, casting golden lines across the polished wooden floor. The room was a fortress of wealth, oak shelves filled with books, rare art hanging on the walls, and on one side, a massive safe built into the wall. Chief Leonard Armstrong was not an ordinary man. At 58, he was one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country, a man whose name was etched in boardrooms, newspapers, and Forbes magazines. But beneath the layers of success, his heart was scarred. A bitter divorce had left him alone. Years of betrayal by both business partners and so-called friends had hardened his heart. Thieves had stolen from him, trusted employees, even distant family members he once loved. All of it built into him one unshakable rule: trust no one. That was why he sat in his grand leather chair that day, eyes closed, pretending to sleep. By his side, the steel safe stood wide open, spilling bundles of crisp dollar bills. The money wasn't there by accident. He had scattered it deliberately, untidy, like bait thrown into a trap. He wanted to test something, or rather someone. In the quiet of the room, a little girl's footsteps echoed softly. Her name was Amara, the 10-year-old daughter of his maid, Mosi, a black child in a white man's mansion. Innocent eyes full of curiosity. School was on break, so she had followed her mother to work that day. While Mosi scrubbed the kitchen tiles, Amara wandered into the study as she often did. Today she froze. Her gaze landed on the open safe. Piles of money, more than she had ever seen in her short life, lay scattered and untidy, almost calling her name. Chief Armstrong, behind his shut eyelids, listened. This is it, he thought. This is the moment the poor reveal their true nature. Even a child cannot resist such temptation. He held his breath, waiting for the sound of little hands snatching at the money. Instead, he heard something else, the soft shuffle of feet against the floor, the sound of papers being touched but not rustled greedily, rather carefully, slowly. He cracked one eye open just a slit, and what he saw made his throat tighten. Amara wasn't stuffing money into her pockets. She wasn't hiding bundles under her dress. Instead, she was kneeling in front of the safe, her small hands gathering the scattered bills neatly, stacking them into proper piles. She pressed them down carefully, the way she had seen her mother fold laundry. Her lips moved as she worked. At first, he thought she was muttering to herself, but when he listened closely, he realized she was humming, a soft, innocent tune. When the last pile was stacked, Amara sat back on her heels, smiling faintly to herself. Then she whispered aloud, "Mama always says, don't touch what does not belong to you. Uncle Leonard worked hard for this money. I will help him keep it tidy." Chief Armstrong's chest tightened painfully. His eyes shut again quickly as she stood up and brushed her dress. Mosi balanced a basket of freshly laundered clothes on her hip as she entered the study to dust the shelves, but the sight that met her eyes stopped her cold. Amara was on her knees before the open safe, her tiny fingers gently straightening the scattered bundles of money. "Amara!" Mosi's voice cracked like a whip, trembling with fear. She dropped the basket and rushed forward. "What are you doing here?" Amara jumped, startled, her big eyes flashing with guilt. Not guilt of stealing, but of being caught somewhere she knew she shouldn't be. "Mama," she whispered. "I wasn't taking it. I was just arranging it." It looked messy. Mosi's heart pounded. She bent down quickly, grabbing the money from her daughter's hands and stacking it back inside the safe. Her fingers trembled as she worked. "Hush," she said in a low, urgent voice. "Don't ever come here again. Do you hear me? Never. This is not our business. This is not our money." "But Mama—" "No, Amara." Mosi's eyes glistened with tears. She pulled her daughter into her arms. "Promise me. Promise me you will never touch what doesn't belong to you." Amara nodded quietly, whispering, "I promise, Mama." Satisfied, though still shaken, Mosi closed the safe gently. She took Amara's hand, and together they left the study. Neither of them knew that from the shadow of his chair, Leonard Armstrong had watched everything. His eyes were not shut as they believed. He had seen the girl's innocence. He had seen the mother's fear, her urgency, her discipline, and what struck him most was the words she spoke. "This is not our business. This is not our money." When the door closed behind them, Leonard leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. "Honesty," he muttered to himself. "Discipline even in hardship." That evening, when Mosey received her pay, she was surprised. The amount was almost double her usual salary. She stared at the envelope, her brows furrowed. "Sir, there must be a mistake," she said, holding it out to him. Leonard smiled faintly, his sharp blue eyes softening. "No mistake, Mosey, you deserve it. For reasons you may not understand yet." Mosey blinked, confused. She bowed deeply. "Thank you, sir." "God bless you." But Leonard's curiosity only grew. Who was this woman who raised a daughter with such discipline despite their struggles? He decided he would find out. That night, as she lay on the small mattress she shared with Amara in their servant quarters, memories flooded her. She had been just 16 when she discovered she was pregnant. The boy who had promised her love and forever denied her, turned his back and fled. Her parents, strict, proud, and heavily religious, were merciless. "For you have brought shame to this house," her father thundered. "You are no longer my daughter." Her mother turned her face away, cold tears streaming silently. With nowhere to go, Mosey wandered the streets, belly swelling, heartbroken. She worked odd jobs, scrubbing floors and carrying loads in the market, just to afford a little food. When Amara was born, she held her tightly, whispering through tears, "You are all I have, and I will raise you with truth, even if the world rejects us." That vow became her compass. She raised her daughter on discipline, respect, and faith, even when she herself had no strength left. It was through a cleaning agency. She finally found work in Leonard Armstrong's mansion, and for the first time she could breathe. But life had never stopped testing her. Weeks later, Leonard's younger sister, Clara Armstrong, arrived from London to spend the summer at the mansion. She was 22, spoiled, sharp-tongued, and beautiful. Leonard welcomed her warmly, though he often frowned at her careless lifestyle. At first, Clara seemed uninterested in the staff. She ignored Mosey and barely noticed Amara. But soon things began to change. It started with missing jewelry, a gold bracelet, then an expensive perfume bottle. Next, a wad of cash disappeared from Leonard's drawer. Each time, Clara raised her voice in dramatic outrage. "Leonard, you cannot trust these people," she cried one morning, storming into the study. "I swear your maid and her child are stealing from you." "Who else could it be?" "I saw the girl lingering near the safe the other day." Leonard's heart skipped. The memory of Amara arranging the money returned to him. He had seen her innocence with his own eyes. Yet here was his sister, confident and insistent. "You are mistaken, Clara," he said firmly. "Mosey and her daughter would never." "Oh, don't be so naive, Leonard," Clara snapped. "This is what they do. Pretend to be loyal, then rob you blind when you're not looking. Open your eyes before it's too late." Her words stabbed at his heart. He wanted to defend Mosey and Amara, but old scars, memories of betrayal, theft, and deception, whispered doubts into his ear. That night, Leonard sat alone in his study, staring at the safe once more, his jaw clenched. "Was I wrong to trust them? Was I blinded by a moment of innocence?" he muttered. The ghost of doubt had returned. Meanwhile, Mosey sat on the edge of her bed, worry etched on her face. Amara looked up at her. "Mama, why are you sad?" Mosey forced a smile, brushing her daughter's hair. "Nothing, my child. Just sometimes life tests us. But we must never stop holding on to what is right." Amara leaned against her. "You always say the truth will protect us." Mosey kissed her forehead softly. "Yes, my daughter. It always will. Even when the world tries to paint us as thieves." She didn't know that at that very moment. Clara Armstrong was plotting her next move, a move that would push Leonard to the edge and shake the fragile. Trust he was beginning to rebuild. The morning sun spilled across the marble halls of the Armstrong mansion, but its warmth did little to soften the chill that had settled over the house. Mosey moved quietly through the living room, dusting surfaces, her eyes heavy with worry. Amara trailed behind her, humming softly as she carried a small basket of cleaning supplies. Things had changed. Ever since Clara's arrival, suspicion hung in the air like smoke after a fire. Jewelry had gone missing, money had disappeared, and all the accusing fingers pointed toward them. Leonard had not said anything directly, but his silence was heavy. "Mama," Amara whispered as she wiped a side table, "why does Miss Clara always look at me like I did something wrong?" Mosey swallowed hard. "Don't mind her, my child. Some people see what they want to see, not the truth." But inside her heart trembled. How long could they endure these false accusations? That evening, Clara stood in front of the mirror in her guest room, holding a velvet box. Inside lay a diamond necklace, a gift Leonard had once given her for her 21st birthday. A mischievous smile curved her lips. "Let's see how long your precious maid and her angelic daughter last, Leonard," she muttered. She slipped quietly into the servants' quarters, while Mosey and Amara were still working in the kitchen. With practiced ease, she tucked the necklace deep inside Amara's small backpack, the one she always carried her storybooks in. The trap was set. 2 days later, Clara stormed into the study, feigning panic. "Leonard!" she cried, her eyes wide. "My diamond necklace is gone. I searched everywhere. It's missing." Leonard frowned, setting down his newspaper. "Are you sure?" "Perhaps you misplaced it." "No." Clara shook her head vehemently. "I know where I kept it, and I swear it's been stolen." Her voice rose higher, drawing the staff into the room. Mosey and Amara stood at the doorway, confused. Clara spun on them like a predator spotting prey. "Check their things," she demanded. "That's where you'll find it." Mosey gasped, clutching her chest. "God forbid, Madame Clara, we have never—" But Clara cut her off sharply. "Save your lies. I saw the little one lingering around my room yesterday." "She's learning from you, Mosey." Tears filled Mosey's eyes. Amara clutched her mother's hand, trembling. Leonard's jaw tightened. He didn't want to believe Clara, but the accusations weighed heavily. His old wounds whispered, "Haven't you been betrayed before? Haven't you lost millions by trusting the wrong people?" At Clara's insistence, Amara's small backpack was brought forward. Mosey unzipped it with trembling fingers, praying silently, and then gasps filled the room. There at the bottom lay Clara's diamond necklace. "No," Mosey whispered, falling to her knees. "No, I swear, sir. This is not ours. I don't know how it got there." Clara smirked faintly, though she quickly masked it with a look of hurt. "You see, Leonard, I warned you. This is what happens when you let wolves into your home." Leonard's hands trembled as he picked up the necklace. His eyes darted between the terrified maid, the sobbing child, and his sister's accusing glare. Was it true? Had he been foolish to trust them? Amara's small voice broke through the silence. "Uncle Leonard, I didn't take it. Mama says stealing is evil. I didn't touch it. Please believe me." Her voice cracked and her tiny body shook with sobs. Leonard's chest constricted. He remembered the day he watched her arrange the money, the innocence in her eyes, the discipline in her mother's warning. Could that have been an act? For 2 days the house remained tense. Mosey barely ate. Her dignity crushed under suspicion. Amara clung to her, whispering prayers at night. But Leonard couldn't rest. Something gnawed at him, whispering that the pieces didn't fit. So he ordered a quiet investigation. Security cameras, though rarely used in guest areas, had captured faint movements in the corridor near Clara's room. When the footage was brought to him, Leonard's eyes widened. There she was, Clara slipping into the servants' quarters, when Mosey and Amara were busy in the kitchen, a small velvet box in her hand. His blood ran cold. That evening he called everyone into the study. Clara, dressed elegantly, sat with a smug expression, certain she had won. Mosey stood silently, her hands clasped while Amara clung to her side. Leonard rose slowly, holding the diamond necklace. "Clara," he said quietly, "do you know what betrays a liar?" She tilted her head. "What are you talking about, Leonard?" He pressed a button, and the security footage played on the screen behind him. Clara's face drained of color as her own actions played out for all to see. Mosey gasped, covering her mouth. Amara blinked in confusion. Leonard turned to his sister, his voice trembling with fury. "You, my own blood. You planted this on them. You tried to destroy the only people who have shown me honesty in this house." Clara opened her mouth, but no words came. Leonard's voice boomed, shaking the room. "You have shamed me and you have shamed yourself," Clara stammered, but the evidence was undeniable. She fled the room, face burning with humiliation. For redemption, Leonard turned to Mosey and Amara, his eyes heavy with guilt. "I doubted you," he whispered. Even after what I saw with my own eyes, I let suspicion cloud my heart. Forgive me. Mosey's eyes filled with tears, but she bowed deeply. Sir, we forgive. We understand pain makes the heart cautious, but the truth always speaks. Amara stepped forward, her voice soft but steady. Uncle Leonard, Mama says, even when people don't trust us, we must still do what is right. That's how God sees our heart. Leonard's throat tightened. He bent down, placing his hand gently on the little girl's shoulder. Your mother raised you well, Amara, and because of you, I've learned that trust should not be built on wealth, blood, or appearances, but on character. He turned to Mosey. From this day forward, you are more than my maid. You are family, and your daughter, he smiled faintly, his eyes softening, is my greatest teacher. Mosey wept openly, pulling Amara into her arms. For the first time in years, Leonard Armstrong felt his heart lighten. The scars of betrayal were still there, but now a new truth grew within him. Honesty knows no class, no race, no status. It can be found in the most unexpected places, even in the small innocent hands of a maid's child. Now the moral lesson of this story is, true trust is not built on wealth, status, or family ties. It is revealed in character, discipline, and honesty. Never judge a person by their background. Even the smallest hands can carry the greatest integrity. Now tell me what you have learned in today's story in the comment section. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and also turn on the notification for more inspiring stories. Thank you for watching.